everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button and that bell button to be notified of every time I release a new card tutorial. So today I want to share with you this brand new die set from the Stamps of Life. It is a onesie, so a baby onesie, and you can use this as a folded card. So an A2 shaped card, it would be shaped like a onesie, or you can use this on the front of a card. You can also use it in a scrapbook page, and it comes with these dies. So you have your shadow die. So if you're using this as just a standalone die cut piece, you would have your shadow die here, as well as the inside, which has all these cute lines and decorations here for your onesie outfit. It also has the rattle with the shadow and a bottle with a shadow. So to start out by making a folded card, I am going to be taking a piece of the white cardstock and I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to take my large die, and you can either have this open from the top or you can have it open from the side. And wherever you want it to open, just make sure that your fold is placed. So if it's here if you're opening it from the top, your fold needs to be placed directly below the metal die. And if you're opening it on the side, just have your fold and your cardstock placed a little bit to the right of the metal die. And it would be here in the sleeve, because that is the most widest part here in this die. So I'm gonna go ahead and have it open from the top. So I'm just going to take a piece of washi tape, and I'm going to hold this down, and I'll be running this through my die cut machine. Now here is what comes out of the die cut machine. So you have your card shaped like a onesie, and notice that the top is completely flat, but in the die it actually had a little bit of a cutout here, or an indentation for the neck. And that's not showing on this card front. So what you do is you just take this large die again and die cut it with the same color cardstock, and that will be able to be positioned right there on top. And now you can see that you have your little indentation there for the neck. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this piece aside. This is my A2 size card, and I will work with that later, but for right now, I'm gonna work with this piece. And the next thing I'm gonna do is take this layering die, and I'm gonna find a piece of paper that I want to use, which will be the decoration for my outfit. And I'm gonna use this die on that paper. Now you can make this onesie to be for a boy, for a girl. You can use pattern paper. You can add some stamps. Like if you had any like little animal or shape stamps that you want to add to this, you can do that. And I found this really cute, adorable paper. I thought these boxes were super cute. And I'm gonna be making a boy card. And this paper is actually from the Love Life collection. And there is actually a matching stamp that matches this, which is also super cute. But I'm gonna cut my onesie out of this paper so that I can have a print on my outfit. So I'm gonna take this die, and you have to make sure that your die is completely straight when you're cutting it out of the pattern paper, because the last thing you wanna do is have this, you know, run through an angle. Then your images there that are on the paper, they're not straight. So make sure it's straight, and just add some washi tape just to hold it down, just to make sure that it stays straight as you run it through your machine. All right, so when that comes out of the die cut machine, just remove your washi tape. And look at how adorable that is. And I also wanted to mention, you can also use these if you wanted to do like a baby shower invitation. You can put your, you know, all your wording on the front and make this a baby shower invite. You can also use these as a banner, so you can actually have several of these cut out and then put the word baby or whatever you wanted to, and then just use them as a banner. That would be super cute as well. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is this, when this is run through the die cut machine, there are some little lines here that you can actually, if you wanted to, you know, paper piece this and just put different different colors on here, you can. But what I really am concerned with doing at this point is just cutting out the neck, because I don't think I need to have this piece in here, because this should be a hole for where the baby puts its neck when it has the onesie on. So I'm just gonna take my small little scissors here and just clip this part out. And I'm also gonna do the same thing for the legs. So again, there's these little lines here that they're already die cut. You just have to snip where they're not die cut, which is right at the end, just to get rid of this. So when that's layered on just like that, look how cute that is. And you can see the white showing through. I love that. So the next thing that I want to do is, if you can see this on the camera, this onesie has some little lines here, which is really like a border on the sleeve, on both of these sleeves, also around the neckline and around where the leg is. And I want to paper piece these in a different color. That way it will give it a little bit more distinction, and you'll be able to see the outlines just a little bit better. So what I've done is I've taken that same die and I die cut it out of the Ginger Snap cardstock, and I chose the Ginger Snap because that's the color of this fox and it all matches. So you could probably see the lines a little bit better on this Ginger Snap piece. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to start paper piecing by just snipping away these borders on the arms. So once I snip that away, then I can just add it there just for some, well, obviously I'm gonna have to glue it, but I just wanna just show you what that would look like. So if I just add that there to the end, you can see what that would look like. And do the same thing on the other side. So isn't that adorable? So now I just have to glue it down, and then don't forget these little pieces, these holes need to be poked out. So now I'm just going to take some glue and adhere all of those pieces on there. So look how cute that is with all the borders on there. It just adds so much more detail to the onesie. Next, I was thinking about using the fox die that corresponds with this paper and just adding a fox to the middle of the onesie. I just thought that would be cute. So what I've done is I took the die and I die cut it out of the Ginger Snap as well as out of the white, which is the powdered sugar, and I also took the shadow die and I die cut the shadow die out of the powdered sugar, and I also cut a little bit of the face out of the chocolate. So I want to try and match my fox as closely as I can to what it looks like on the pattern paper. So that means that I'm going to have to do some more paper piecing. So I'm going to take this fox and I'm just looking at the pattern paper and I see that the top of the ears are white. So I'm just going to snip off the tops. Okay, and I also see that the top of the tail is white. So I'm going to snip off the top of the tail. And I also see that the front paw has some white on it up until this little line, so I'm going to cut that away. And on this particular one, it looks like his mouth area has some white on it, so I'm going to cut that away. Okay, and then the nose is brown, so I'm going to snip off the nose. Okay, and let me come over here and cut this nose off, because this brown nose is the one that we're going to be using. This is the chocolate cardstock from the Stamps of Life. I do want to add some ink just to the ginger snap pieces. So that was the ginger snap ink. And now I'm going to take my shadow layer and I'm just going to start placing everything where I want it to go. All right, so let me get this white die cut piece and snip off the pieces that I need in the white. So when I'm looking at this, I'm noticing that that white really blends in with the white shadow layer. So I'm just going to come in here and just add some ginger snap ink to the white pieces as well. That way it'll give a little bit of distinction. You'll be able to tell the different layers. So now it's time to just glue all of this on here. I'm going to start with this big piece just so that I can start with figuring out where my placement is. So for the eyes, I am just going to take a clear glue and drop a little tiny, in fact that was a little too much, drop of glue, and then set one of the eyes in there. The eyes were cut with the same chocolate cardstock as the nose. So next I'm going to take this stamp. It says Little Fox. It's with the Foxes to Stamp stamps, and I'm going to stamp it out on some white cardstock using some of the chocolate ink, so I'm sticking with the brown. Next I'm going to use my scissors and just trim around that sentiment. And I want to back that up on some of the ginger snap cardstock, so I'm just going to trim around that as well. And then just adhere the sentiment to the ginger snap cardstock. Okay, so we have those two pieces. Now before I move on, I need to attach this to my shadow layer. Isn't that cute? That would be cute just like that. I think that is so adorable with all those fun little patterns there. Oh my gosh, I love it. But this fox, I think I'm going to just go ahead and put him here in the middle and then put the little fox right above it. And look how cute that is. All right, so let's go ahead and attach everything. So I'm centering this between this neckline, and then we'll go ahead and add the fox. And I think the further I come down with this, the better. That way we have at least his head, a head poking out and not just some ears. All right, now we're gonna take this and put it on our card base. So I'm gonna open this up and lay it flat, and then add some glue behind this entire layer. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I just love it. So there's our onesie card, but I'm not done yet. What I want to do now, there's these buttons to clip on for the fasteners for the bottom of the onesie. So I'm going to take some of my Nuvo drops and just add little buttons. You can also do little epoxy dots here and just put little buttons there if you wanted to, but I want to do something here to just to add a little bit of something to those holes. My Nuvo crystal drops, this is the ivory seashell color, and I'm just gonna add 3 right in the holes of this onesie. Look how cute that is. You can see the dimension that it adds. So I'm gonna let that dry. I always like to let these dry at least overnight and just let them lie flat as they're drying, and then that will become hardened. Usually takes only a couple of hours, if that, but I like to leave them overnight just in case. And there's my little boy onesie. I think that turned out super cute. For this next card, I'm going to use the onesie, the rattle, and the bottle on a step-up card, and I'm using the center step card die from the Stamps of Life, and I already cut that out of the ocean cardstock, and I scored it at the score lines, and that card base stands up just like that. So I'm going to set that aside. And I cut the onesie out of the heart with the cherry background, and this is from the Spring Basics collection, and that's going to layer on top of a piece of powdered sugar cardstock. And I went ahead and cut out the holes for the neckline and the legs, just as I did with the previous card. I cut another onesie out of the ocean cardstock, and I'm going to paper piece the border lines that are on the onesie just for detail. So just like I did in the previous card, I'm just going to cut away these borders and then adhere them to the onesie. I'm going to use the Sweet Statement set, and it has the word sweet with the shadow layer. I already cut the shadow layer out of the sunshine, and then it has these stamp sentiments, and there is the word baby here, which I don't know if I'm going to use that or if I'm going to die cut some letters. I haven't decided yet, but I am going to die cut the word sweet out of the powdered sugar, and I did add some double-sided adhesive to the back of that. So once that comes out of the die cut machine, now it's easy for me just to add this word onto my shadow layer because it does have the double-sided adhesive on the back. Now these layering pieces, these were cut with the same pattern paper pad, which is the spring pattern paper pad spring collection, or spring basics, I think is what it was called. And these layering dies are included in the Step Up card die set. So I just die cut those out of this yellow and adding them to my card base. I have a piece of some seam binding, and this is in the ocean color. It could be sea glass, I'm not sure. They're so close. And notice that I actually was wrapping it around just this piece, not the shadow layer. I have not adhered this to the shadow layer yet. And I'm going to tie this in a bow. So when I do my bows, I always like to add just a piece of hot glue just to the back of the knot, and then press it down just to make sure that it stays straight. So I'm not good at bow tying, so it just helps me keep everything straight. And then we'll come in here and we'll snip off the ends. All right, and then I will go ahead and adhere this piece to the shadow layer. And then we'll put the word sweet right on above the bow, and some of it's gonna hang off, so I'm looking at this end of the T and some of the S, so I just wanna be careful where I put the glue. All right, I'm gonna set that aside for now, and I wanna work on the bottle and the rattle. So I have the bottle and the rattle and the shadow layers. So I'm gonna die cut the shadow layers out of the powdered sugar, and then I have this striped out of the ocean, and then the polka dot with the cherry. Again, these are all from the Spring Basics paper pad. So I'm gonna go ahead and paper piece the bottle and the rattle. So I went ahead, let's start with the rattle, which I die cut out of that polka dot paper. And I also cut the top part out of the ocean, and I'm just gonna cut this middle stripe piece. And let's go ahead and adhere this down, and then that stripe will go right along the center of the rattle, just to add a little something extra. Technically, if you don't want a paper piece, you can use the rattle just as it is, like this. But I'm gonna go ahead and add this just to add a little more detail. So there's the rattle. And then for the bottle, I went ahead and die cut it out of the stripe with the ocean. Also a solid piece of cherry, and then the top part just out of the sunshine. So I'm gonna go ahead and snip this piece away. So let's cut that down, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. And these pieces that I'm cutting and not using could save for another project. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. And let's go ahead and add the bottom of the bottle. So there is my bottle and my rattle. So all these other pieces we can put in an envelope and just save with this die set. So instead of using the word baby in the stamp, I've decided I'm going to use these die cut letters. And these die cut letters are from the Foxes to Stamp die set. So it's the same dies that I was working with in the previous card. That's where these letters came. So I'm gonna just cut these out of my cherry cardstock. I did add some double-sided adhesive to the back, and I will run these through my die cutter. Look at how nice those look, and they're the perfect size that I can fit here on the bottom of this card. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adhering everything so that way I know where to put the word baby. I'm gonna have to die cut this again because I'm gonna need another B. So actually, I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and add these letters first. That way I will know how far to add that onesie. So we'll go ahead and start with the Y, and we will work backwards. So now I can position this. And when I position this, I want to make sure that it does not extend past the bottom, because remember, this card is going to stand up, so the bottom edge needs to be flat. So it's going to be much higher on the top, which that's okay, and it's going to have to fit in a larger envelope as well. So what I'm going to do is, once I have it where I want it to go, I'm going to flip this over and I'm just going to draw a line just so that I know where I'm not putting glue. So everywhere below this line, I can add some glue. And if I do end up having any overage, you can just wipe it up with your finger. All right, so let's go ahead and add the rattle. All right, so there, oh, I got to do the bottom. We have to add our Nuvo drops. So I'm going to go ahead and add these, and then I'm going to let my card rest flat so that these have time to dry. So I'm just going to put a block on that just to keep that flat. So here is my final card, Sweet Baby, for a baby girl, on a step-up card with the bottle and the rattle. I just love how this turned out. Now this obviously is larger than an A2 size card, so it's not going to fit in an A2 size envelope, but I do have an envelope here which is a square envelope, and this is a 6x6, and you can see that it will fit perfectly in that envelope. Now square envelopes do take a little bit more postage to mail because of the square shape, but it will fit in this envelope. So here are my two cards. So I have my shaped card for the baby boy, and then I have my baby girl card, and this one is on an actual card base. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Until next time, see you later, everyone.